Boys, we're back. New league, new expansion, new skill. So I've got a new video as always. You know me, I kind of do the new skill. It's kind of my thing now. I'm doing Hydrosphere. Even though it looks pretty underwhelming at first, it actually turns out to be quite the juicer. Thanks to the new Elementalist, we're going to be able to make this thing do quite a lot of damage, and we're actually going to play it in a really unique way. So I don't really have any gameplay to show you at all because we saw practically nothing of this skill, and the small amounts we did see in the trailer, it was shown as like a nice little support, but we ain't playing it support, we're playing it main. So the skill gem itself and the way we're going to be able to play it as a main is the fact that the skill pulses and does damage when it's triggered with an ailment. We're going to be hitting it with Storm Burst, and so we're going to constantly be inflicting a shock element as well as a chill ailment thanks to cluster jewels, etc. With that, it's going to pulse all the time, but instead of just having it sit there and pulse at 0.4 seconds, we're going to move it around, and that's where the niche comes into the skill. If you move the skill Hydrosphere, it'll pulse again, so you can boost your damage by 60% more, if not more, by just having it move around and pulse like crazy. Because we have no gameplay, I've got a really scuffed example right here of how the skill will work. I've done up. We have our little Storm Burst here, we have our character, and you'll just kind of drag through the mobs like this and just destroy everything. And then on top of that, Herald of Ice, Impulsor, etc. will chain the rest of the map. It's scuffed, it's literally a Photoshop skill build, but I promise it'll work. As for the pros of the build, we play an Elementalist, so straight off the bat we're playing the best new Ascendancy with this patch. She's got some insane passives, like all our damage being out of shock, and free real estate in terms of the shield. We get free 3000 damage shield, which is pretty nuts, so that's pretty good. On top of that, the DPS is actually not that bad at all. I think in my pub I had about maybe 8 million on okay-ish gear, and then if you get top tier end game gear, you can get up into the 40 millions, etc. But that's very excessive. On top of that, the pros are that it's a very simple to play build. Because I'm triggering the Hydrosphere, I don't have to really micromanage anything, and it's kind of like a one-button play game, except for if you want to flame dash around or drop in Orb Storms or something like that. Otherwise, we can do every single map modifier thanks to Elementalist once again being a juicer, and we have a really clear upgrade path for our gear. It's very simple. I'm not getting anything too fancy, and the mods we do get are so impactful that it's kind of you need that mod, you don't have to worry about too much else. As for the cons are the new skills can be experimental. If anyone followed my Splitting Steel guide, which I did last Heist League, we ran into issues for 2 weeks about Splitting Steel. Paradoxica bugged, the skill bugged, so take it with a grain of salt. I can theorize all I want, but it could be fucked, so who knows. Other than that, we just have a lot of travel on the tree, so we might take a while to get around, and it might be a little awkward in the early stages of leveling, but I think it should flatten out just fine by the time we get to Blood Aqueducts. And lastly, I'm playing Hybrid. I did actually theorize an ES tree, a life tree, and a hybrid tree, and the ES was bad. I couldn't find a way to do Ghost Reaver ES, etc. well without spending a lot of currencies. So I think Hybrid's going to be good, but it's up in air about whether it's actually that good or not. It's debatable. As for our offense, we have permanent shock and chill with our Elementalist and cluster notables, and our Herald of Ice should be able to proc thanks to that. With Impulsor, shock, and chill being provided, it should be able to proc throughout maps on its own, hopefully. I'm still buffing it with increased critical strike chance and Ice Bite and things like that, so it can hopefully do its work. But we'll see, and hopefully it ends up being a really good map clearer. On top of that, we're playing 2 AoE skills, so hopefully the Maven fights should be really good for us. We should be able to stand in the arena, just whip that ball around like I showed just before, and destroy everything, and hopefully come out on top. Other than that, we just have 100% elemental damage. That's a small thing, but it's one of the things that contributes to us not having to worry about map mods. As for our defense, I actually thought it was bad, but I think I've changed my mind. It's not too bad. We have around 5,000 life NES, which is bad, But we have a free 3000 damage shield thanks to Primal Ages. It's a new skill that got added on Elementalist. You get 100 damage like shield per notable you have on your passive tree. And we have quite a few, so end game you should have like 3500. But that's free shield, and it regenerates every 5 seconds. So that's actually pretty nuts. Other than that, we're going to be blinding enemies with a cluster notable. And we're also going to be chilling and freezing. So we should be safe just in the fact that our offense is a defense. And as with all my builds, I'm a standard player, so it's kind of the way to go. As for our gear, I honestly struggled to think of a way to display this in a nice way without making the video really long, but I couldn't. So I'm just going to show some gear affixes for 5 seconds or something like that. These are the primary ones we want to look for, but honestly that's a really bad way to show. Other than that, the best thing I can recommend is to please, you're probably already looking at the path of building, but please check out maybe the forum guide in the description. This is just the easiest way to showcase gear, as I'll show you now. I link to different things, so for a scepter for example, it's going to load up a trade link for our scepter, so you know exactly what you want. And then if you want to look for the best scepter for example, well, we just click that little button here, sum, and it's going to sort by the best thing we want. This one has a filter of a limit of 10 exalts, but it's just a great example. Or for example, if I was wanting, I want to find the best shield in Ritual League. This will link to Ritual League trade. Obviously right now it's standard. Hit sum, and then damn, your best shield pops up. And then you can just scroll down and buy something that you can afford. That is the easiest way to buy gear. It's the easiest way to explain gear. And if you happen to want to know very specifically what was being prioritized yourself, you could look at the weighted sum here, and the ones on top are gonna be the ones that are the more important stats. Other than that, I also have 2 different item sets in the path of building. So I have the Exalted tier, which is gear you could roughly get within a week or 2 by yourself, or by farming up in standard. And then I have a Mirror tier gear, which is just pretty self-explanatory. Absolutely bonkers, it's Mirror tier. So yeah, please, for the gear section, check those out. And that's honestly it for the guide. I'm trying to keep them shorter these days, as I find I pour a lot of effort into this forum guide and the path of building, and this is kind of the predominant source of information for my guides. I just like to have a video version as, one, it's good exposure, and I like to verbally voice my opinion as well, but for the most part information comes from this. If you find yourself following the guide or enjoying it at all, consider subscribing. I am actually going to be streaming on League launch, so if you're vibing, feel free to drop by, talk shit, watch me probably lose, who knows. I'm not that great, but it's always fun, it's enjoyable, and it's an enjoyable experience to chat. Have a good day, bye bye, enjoy Echoes of the Atlas.